Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lily.
And I'm Lauren.
Welcome to another one of our episodes of our podcast. I know in our intro it's like light and laugh. We really don't have an official name for it yet as we keep creating this, but I think it's just a great description of what we like to do and what we want to share with you here, which is a lot of light and hopefully some laughter, which usually Lauren is great at bringing that in.
Oh, it's,
Um,
it's a team dynamic, girl. Team dynamic. It's all about
exactly.
energy, all about energy. And we just share great energy together.
Exactly. And today we want to share a little bit of that light and love with you guys. We want to talk about values and passion. And this is just something that can go in every direction, Lauren. I mean, values. That's really, really hard to nail down and just be like, this is what it is. And I want to start by telling anyone that's listening today, this is our opinion, as always, and we don't mean to judge anyone or make anyone feel any kind of way besides hopefully well and loved with what we share
I feel
because
like
we
I
all
want to
have
say this is very educational, where this is very informational. And it's not
information.
necessarily based on a fact, but
No,
based on our opinions, our feelings,
yes,
and our
yeah.
experiences.
Yeah,
And
because so many different cultures have so many different values. It's really hard to say this is the right way or the wrong way, but it's our opinion of what we believe is the best way that we know at this time, at this moment. And as you guys keep watching us, that could change because our minds keep
evolving.
expanding and we keep growing and we can grow together and see if we agree. So let's get right into it, Lauren. Lauren, this is really, I think we should share this. Lauren and I were talking yesterday about what we wanted to talk about today. And I had watched a video that really made me think like we should talk about values. We should talk
Hmm.
about, you know, what are what we really feel are those things that shape our life and what matters at the end of the day.
Yes.
So she actually brought this up in a different way, and then I was like, okay, it was meant to be. If I'm saying this, if I already had it in mind and I hadn't told her and I had watched this video during the week that made me think of this, and then she had it in mind, the universe is telling us to share this with you. So let's get into it. Lauren, I'll let you get started. I think they both very much mix together, but if you want to talk about our values or our principles, whatever, whatever way you want to word it, go ahead. You get started.
So, Lily, I just want to touch on saying that this is one of my favorite topics because I really feel that values are what help us navigate through life. Your values, your passions, your principles. And it's taken me multiple years to learn what my true values and passions are. And I feel when we are growing up, we are taught values, we are taught principles depending on your religion, but also depending on just right from wrong and morals. And but what do these words mean? And for me, values are something that it's kind of like a map to help guide you through your life, and it helps you in responding, how to respond to outside circumstances that you do not have control over. So, for example, one of my principles or one of my values, which I feel that goes hand in hand, is really being known for valuing respect and respecting others. And what does that really mean? Let's get that a little deeper. I value treating others exactly how I would want to be treated. And I'm sure this will be a great segment or a segue into a future episode. I know we have some great topics, but what that really means when you have respect for one another and you value that principle. When you are faced with some type of a disagreement, a obstacle that you're not sure how to handle it, I feel like instead of acting in a reactive manner with emotional feeling, right? Take that 1 second pause, that 5 second pause. And I really want someone to ask themselves before they respond, how would I want to be treated in this situation? And I think that is kind of where we are lacking in today's world is yes, people talk about respect, but do they practice it? Do they take that 5 seconds to really think before they speak or act? And I'm going to be honest, your girl is practicing. It is not overnight. But what I have to say is, I think it starts with self awareness. Everyone can be self aware. Yes, I know I'm tired. I know I'm angry. But self awareness goes a little deeper. Okay, why do I feel these emotions? Maybe there's a root to it that, again, another segue to another episode, but maybe there's a lesson I am not learning here that let me really take a moment to evaluate the situation. So that was just a little segue into what is one of my biggest values, respect. But Lily, what's like one of your biggest values?
First I want to touch on what you just said. In a situation when you react, I think that's perfect. I think that really is one of the things that I was taught. And I also want to say that I was fortunate to be taught this when I was little. Sometimes we have to learn what our values are later in life.
Yeah.
Sometimes we discover a concept, an idea, a way of thinking, and we make that our value. And our values right now, like I said, we could, you and I, expand our minds and then have those values change and grow, and all for the better, all for something, that hopefully spreads more love and respect. But
Yes.
from anything, I think the base is love. I think if you do anything and there's love behind it, and it feels, could be that it is the right thing to do, because sometimes people do try to say that it is something that they are doing with love, but it is wrong. And
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a good thing, because they did it because of love. But what I mean to say with that is something with pure intentions that doesn't take away from the person, that doesn't harm the person, is what I think is love. And what you said about reacting, I think it's so perfect. The best example for me is growing up. It is something that I learned from my dad, rest in peace, that was reacting and communicating and how we communicate. My dad never yelled at my sister and I in particular. My parents were divorced, so I didn't get to see their relationship, how that was, but our relationship and what he wanted us to be like, was to what communicating and in anger, like you said, when communicating while you are upset, to
I
not
love
raise
that.
your voice, because he would tell us, and this is his opinion again, as I might have said this before, I'm half Mexican. So my Mexican side, we do yell everything in happiness and anger and everything. It's
So
not
do us
it,
Italians,
yeah.
girl.
It's not like, oh, I yelled, so I must be mad. No. He
We're
always
just
said,
loud. We're
yeah,
naturally just loud.
exactly. He would say, if you are upset and you can't communicate your message in a calm manner, that is ignorance. That was his opinion, and that's what he
Oh,
taught.
wow. I love
Because you
that.
cannot control your emotions. So since I was little, we weren't allowed to raise our voices or change our tones in anger.
God bless your father. Wow. May I interrupt for a brief moment because I'd love to relate this and show people the other side. So for me, growing up, when I was discussing how, you grow up and you're raised with certain values, I come from a single mother background who worked tirelessly to provide me a beautiful life, the best that she could. However, being older, I can now understand that being a single mom has a lot of pressure, and sometimes you're tired and there's no off days. And I, you know, I don't want to say anything negative in any light, but we would communicate in a sense, especially when we were both irate. We both raised our volume. We both didn't use respect. If anything, we used demeaning words to belittle someone, to hurt someone, when in reality, we didn't mean that. We were just angry and we had to get our emotions out. And so it is now, that's what I'm saying. It has taken me years. Here I am, I'm 30 something years old, and now I am really learning to value respect, and I am practicing that with showing up with my mother. Whereas we would immediately, if we have a disagreement, we go immediately to a let's get loud and let's talk over one another and to prove my point, right? No, it comes from a place of respect and love. And, you know, I think that takes a little bit of maturity. I know that I have personally evolved from the girl that I was with my mother and raising my voice. But let's just a personal relationship with my mother. Let's talk about even your friends, your coworkers, your community.
Which is different, I will say, because, okay, so one thing was how I communicated with my dad. The other thing is we can be shown our principles, our values, then do we actually practice them?
Yes.
I will say there has been times, so in a professional setting, I try my hardest to practice that always. Um, with work, I have always tried to keep that in mind and have that be my base of this is how I react, at least in a professional setting. It has been hard growing up, being a teenager with hormones,
Yeah.
having friends that react differently, that being the only one that maybe wants to react to a situation a certain way, and then you learn other bad habits.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so with you, maybe it was like the opposite. You learned good habits out of the world, and I might have learned bad habits. So then it's finding that balance and control of yourself, which is so hard to do. And I
Yes.
will say again, like you said, we're not perfect. We're not claiming to be perfect. We just we know what we want to get closer to being, and
Yes.
we are aware. You said that awareness, we are aware that that's what we want to get closer to. And maybe at a younger age we didn't realize how that was even important in our lives and how that shaped anything in our lives, but now we do. And yeah, I love how we have kind of that opposite, like you didn't learn it here but you learned it there, and mine is the other way around.
I think I
So
have another example where it's going to
mhm.
be something similar. Let me hear your opinions on this, but same thing now. I am valuing seeking the divine help, whether you want to call it universe, God, whoever you pray to, or just the divine. I now value seeking divine help. Now, let's pause back to when I was a child and learned this. I was raised growing up going to church on Sundays, right? I am Christian and Catholic. So, my mom was a Eucharistic minister. I was an altar girl. Yeah. So I was really involved in
Lauren,
religion.
I'm just
But
learning this.
But did that mean that I valued my relationship with God or the divine just because I was practicing it?
Yeah,
No, it wasn't until I got older
yeah.
and really wanted to connect with the highest power to become my best self, right? I now have a new relationship with what I call the divine or the universe or God, whoever you want to call it. But growing up, yes, value of a religion or a spirit or, a higher power was taught, but the way I value it now has completely evolved. And
Yes.
I want to just say that goes hand in hand with the values that we are taught growing up. They may still, they may still show up in your adult life.
In a different way.
Exactly, because we
In
all
the way you
grow.
choose.
Say that one more time.
In the way that you choose.
Exactly. It's like almost what I was trying to say in the beginning is when we're raised, we're kind of raised with a script put on us. We don't kind of have the authority to kind of make ourselves who are unique and authentic at that time. So we are kind of raised with these scripts already put on us. You know, I am a loud child. I am a dramatic, what, et cetera, et cetera. And as we get older, we realize we have the ability to rewrite those scripts. We aren't the scripts that we were taught, and in the same sense of respect. Well, I was taught, speak over someone to get your point across. And now I'm not that script anymore. Now it
That's
takes a
so
lot of
funny. I
effort.
love how we are these perfect examples of these opposite things, but not, you know?
Exactly. Because I listen, I want to keep it 100 with everybody. I'm discussing things that I value and that I'm trying to practice, but it takes a conscious effort every day in every interaction to
Yes. Every
show up as
phone
that person.
call, every talk, everywhere.
It's a
Yeah.
commitment to yourself. It's a
And as
commitment.
long as, because you might get through the day and be like, oh, I had that one interaction, but did you try for the rest of the day at least to maybe, as long as 50% of that, over 50% of that day, maybe you tried to be that person. And even if that 40 something percent wasn't able to, as long as you try, it doesn't have to be from night and day like, oh, I don't do that. Can I do
Mhm.
that? Just a tiny little thing every
Baby
day.
steps. Baby
A little
steps.
thing, yeah. It doesn't have to be overnight. Adding to what you said about religion, I didn't know that you were that much part of the church growing up. My mom from southern Mexico, they're very much traditional and very much a traditional Catholic to what a lot of people don't get to see in the US anymore, but still might be a little more common in some parts of Mexico, and a
Yeah.
way to be a Catholic that you might even think would be closer to different religions that are a little more restrictive, that you don't even, we
Oh,
in the US don't even realize how different Catholics used to be
yes.
um, years ago, to where other countries like Mexico might still have those that
They
same
practice
old,
that. Yeah, they
yes,
still practice that authentic
which has to
religion.
do with covering your head sometimes with like some type
Wow.
of veil, some lace veil, even sometimes just the smallest little piece. To some people might relate that to being a Muslim, covering your head, but what the
Yes.
Bible says and what we've transformed it to now. But I have to add to what you said because I think it's important. There was times in my life when I was younger, I did embrace it. When I was very little, I didn't understand it as much. When I was in high school, I embraced a particular church that I found in a particular youth group that I found that I would take myself to. I was there a couple times a week by myself. No
Wow.
one in my family was going to church with me as much as I was walking myself to this church.
I
I'd
love
walk,
that.
I would
I
walk a
love
few
that for
blocks.
you.
But I have to say, and I had my teen Bible that helped me through a lot of things. It helped me to understand the hypocrisy in the church. It spoke of the hypocrisy in the Catholic
Wow.
Church. Yeah, every question you had as a teenager was in there. Sex was in there. Everything was
Wow.
in the teen Bible, which I have to say has to do with evolving and realizing for the church, if you don't touch on these topics and you don't tell them those values the church has and how you want them to handle it, they won't have any other example if they don't have their parents to show them this. If they have a
Exactly.
traditional Catholic mom like I do that maybe just thought we'd, wait till we were married or something, whatever that was, because she'd rather avoid it because let's not talk about it and it might not happen. I don't know. Just that different way of thinking that maybe a lot of parents from different cultures, not necessarily maybe American, but different cultures might have to where let's just act like nothing's happening because they're going to be this way.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my dad was a little bit different. My dad, if I was maybe 16, 17 in Mexico, that's very traditional for you to be going to quinceañeras and parties. And
Mhm.
he would even, he would say, you're going to go maybe when I turn 18 to this nightclub, which is legal in Mexico. And I would say, yes, there will be alcohol. Yes, he would ask me this straight up. And I'm an 18-year-old. There's going to be drugs there. Yes, not interested in drugs. I would tell him, like, not my thing. Um, cool. If you drink a little, drink very little. Be back this time on the dot. If you are not here on the dot, you will not go out again. That dot might have been 3 in the morning. Other people might think this is crazy. In Mexico, this is traditional. People stay out later. People sometimes, to what we do in the US. So I had these two different cultures. My American dad living in Mexico, my Mexican traditional mom living in the US. And
Wow.
yeah, it was
Wow.
like, it was just wild, but
But you got
you
the
know,
best of both worlds almost, because
I did. Yeah.
you now, and it makes you the person you are today. You have
It
balance.
helped me. It helped me see and pick and then, take the best I could from it all and then become who I am. But I wanted to go back to the religion and say that when I would hear of my particular religion excluding people or telling people they would be punished for things that I consider to not harm anyone else and to not take away from anyone else, that pushed me away from the church
Yes,
because
I
I
see that.
wanted to love everyone equally. I
Mhm.
wanted everyone to feel loved equally. And
Yes.
anything that took away from that, I felt wasn't right. Now I understand as an adult what I believe to be God, not a church, not a religion. What I believe to be God, to be the divine, loves everyone equally. And there is no necessarily right and wrong way to be a human as long as you are doing it with love, not taking away from anyone, not hurting anyone, then you're fine. And that's the problem where with me where I was taken away from the church because of things like that, where I couldn't find another church that agreed with what I believed in my
Mhm.
heart. And that's
Mhm.
another thing too,
I
is that those values and passion, you could hear messages, and if they don't resonate with you, if you don't feel for you that's the right thing, that's another way that you decide what they really are and what they mean to you.
I wanted to touch on what you just said, which really I think brings this all home. You have to be open to changing your perspective, evolving your perspective, and accepting a new connection to your spirit and divine. Because again, you were raised in a religion, same way I was raised in a religion. But our connection right now to what we call God or the divine, it has evolved, and it's not what we did growing up going to church on Sundays. It wasn't your youth program that, you were going to. So I think I really want to touch on that to our viewers, that don't feel pressure to know what your values and your passions are now, because as you can see from two examples, they evolve. We
Yeah.
were both, we both valued religion and having a spiritual connection. But although it's nothing what it was when we grew up, this, you can't deny that the spirit plays a huge role in who we are today, and so it's all about your interpretation. And that's where I really want to go touch back on your values and your passions. Go into, are a good sign of how you lead your life. It's a map, it's a kind of a roadmap of, if I want to be, this is going to sound wild, but I want someone to envision their funeral day, their day at a funeral. Not, you're not visiting someone else's funeral. People are visiting your funeral. How do people how do you want people to remember you? How do you want to be, what do you want to be known for? And in every different aspect, it would be like, do you want to be known for being a person of compassion, of being a person of respect and love, and of being a listener, or do you want to just be known as, and there's no right or wrong, but I feel that we should have some core principles or values that, whether you are taught this as a younger individual or you learn it as you get older, I feel like becoming self aware of what are your values, your principles, your passions, it helps you realize the direction your life is going in and the impact you are having on others. And I think people are currently in this, because we are in such a fast paced life that we're kind of on autopilot.
Mhm.
And we don't really take a second to think, how do I want to be remembered? How do I want this person to see me? How do I want to show up? And I want to tie it back into, how do I become the best version of me? And it all stems from our values, our passions. So, viewers, take a moment. You're worth it. Let's get clear on what are our values? What are we passionate about? Take 15 minutes, write it out on paper. And every morning, I want you to wake up, and I want it to be like a personal mission statement, a commitment to yourself. Because if you're waking up and you don't know what your values are, you're kind of going into the day blind, becoming a reactive individual instead of becoming a proactive person to show up how you want to be remembered. And what do you think about that? What are your thoughts?
I love that you said that, starting your day, because it made me think too, in the morning when I'm, gonna take off for work, and I still, going back to religion, I still do some prayers that I find help me remind myself of that. And I pray in Spanish, but the prayers are very, very similarly translated. So it's the basic, forgive me for, hurting or judging others as they have hurt and judged me, you know, and just seeing that, like, just telling yourself, yes, I might have done this. Yes, this person did this to me, but today is a new day, and today I want to be this person. So I think prayer helps me just, set my intention for the day with that, with something that's already been laid out that I agree with, that I think, just is the basics. It's the basics. It's nothing too deep, but it's the basics for my day, and it's a great start. I love how you just wrapped it all up. I think that was a great way to end this topic, values and passion. You touched on it a little bit during this, which was feeling worthy, which we're going to be creating another video for our viewers on that. Feeling worthy, how that shapes our values and passion. And we also touched on how we are all connected. You said, how do you want someone to react to that situation if it was you? Because we are, at the end of the day, similar. One, we all are connected, and we all impact each other. And why should anyone care about the way that they impact someone? Some people do say, I don't care. I don't care if I'm remembered for being this whatever person that I am. That may not be the best person. Like, why would I even care? That's fine if people are in that stage. But what we are doing is for maybe that's someone that started caring, or that is trying to figure out how to be different. So we understand that everyone's at different stages. And you might also think, but no one around me cares. That is also fine, because you could impact them. If you have people around you that you care about, that you say, they don't want to change, they don't feel like changing, they don't feel like change is at all necessary in their life, but you think that their actions aren't being, developed with love, you could change yourself. And the more that you change yourself and raise your vibration and get closer to that divine, that starts to impact everyone around you.
Yes.
So if everyone around you is not where you are at, don't worry, don't give up. That could also impact them. So
focus inwards. Focus inwards,
Exactly.
Don't focus outwards.
So we're going to be touching on a lot of this in our next episode about feeling worthy. Lauren, I love how you wrapped everything up and told them to take action and write it down and really get into it. So with that, I say goodbye, Lauren.
And I give lots of kisses, lots of love, and lots of light. Imagine all that beautiful light.
Also, let us know what your values and passion are. Where are you from? Why are those values and passions, your passion, so important to you? How has that shaped your life? Share that with us, because we really want ourselves. We really want to keep learning too. We can learn from each other. Let us know.
And I really would love this to be an interactive community. I want to get to know our viewers. So leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know your values. Let's see,
what we said.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, guys, we're gonna let you go. It's 33 minutes with 28 seconds. Can I stop this at the exact